The Madness of Private Ortheris by Rudyard Kipling. Narrated by Robin Nixon. Oh, where would I be when my throat was dry? Oh, where would I be when the bullets fly? Oh, where would I be when I come to die? Why, somewhere's anigh my chum. If he's liquor, he'll give me some. If I'm dying, he'll hold me head, and he'll write 'em home when I'm dead. God send us a trusty chum. Barrack Room Ballad. My friends Mulvaney and Ortheris had gone on a shooting expedition for one day. Leroyd was still in hospital, recovering from fever picked up in Burma. They sent me an invitation to join them, and were genuinely pained when I brought beer, almost enough beer to satisfy 2 privates of the line and me. "'Twasn't for that we bid you welcome, sir," said Mulvaney sulkily. "'Twas for the pleasure of your company." Ortheris came to the rescue with, "Well, he won't be none the worse for bringing liquor with him. We ain't a file of ducks, we're blooming Tommies, ye cantankerous Irishman, and here's your very good elf." We shot all the afternoon and killed 2 pariah dogs, 4 green parrots sitting, 1 kite by the burning gulch, 1 snake flying, 1 mud turtle, and 8 crows. Game was plentiful. Then we sat down to tiffin, bullmate and bran bread, Mulvaney called it, by the side of the river, and took pot shots at the crocodiles in the intervals of cutting up the food with our only pocket knife. Then we drank up all the beer and threw the bottles into the water and fired at them. After that we eased belts and stretched ourselves on the warm sand and smoked. We were too lazy to continue shooting. Ortheris heaved a big sigh as he lay on his stomach, with his head between his fists. Then he swore silently into the blue sky. "What's that for?" said Mulvaney. "Have you not drunk enough?" "Tottenham Court Road, and a girl I fancied there. What's the good of soldiering?" "Ortheris, me son," said Mulvaney hastily, "'tis more than likely you've got trouble in your inside with the beer. I feel that way myself when my liver gets rusty." Ortheris went on slowly, not heeding the interruption. "I'm a Tommy, a bloomin' 8 and a dog-stealing Tommy, with a number instead of a decent name. What's the good of me? If I'd have stayed at home, I might have married that girl and kept a little shop on the Hammersmith High Street. Ortheris, a practical taxidermist, with a stuffed fox, like they has in the Aylesbury dairies, in the window, and a little case of blue and yellow glass eyes, and a little wife to call shop where the doorbell rang. As it is, I'm only a Tommy, a blooming, God-forsaken, beer-swilling Tommy. Rest on your arms, versed, stand at ease, shun, verse, arms, right and left, turn, slow, march, alt front, rest on your arms, versed with blank cartridge, load, and that's the end of me." He was quoting fragments from a funeral party's orders. "Stop it," shouted Mulvaney. "When you've fired it to nodding as often as me, over a better man than yourself, you will not make a mock of them orders. 'Tis worse than whistling the dead march in barracks, and if you full as a tick and the sun cool and all, I'll shame for you. You're no better than a pagan. You and your firing parties and your glass eyes. Won't you stop it, sir?" What could I do? Could I tell Ortheris anything that he did not know of the pleasures of life? I was not a chaplain nor a subaltern, and Ortheris had a right to speak as he thought fit. "Let him run, Mulvaney," I said. "It's the beer." "No, it isn't the beer," said Mulvaney. "I know what's coming. He's took his way now and again, and it's bad. It's bad, for I'm fond of the boy." Indeed, Mulvaney seemed needlessly anxious, but I knew that he looked after Ortheris in a fatherly way. Let me talk, said Ortheris dreamily. "Do you stop your parrot screaming of an odd day when the cage is cooking his poor little pink toes off, Mulvaney?" "Pink toes? Do you mean to say you've pink toes under your bullsballs, you blundering—" Mulvaney gathered himself together for a terrific denunciation. "Schoolmistress! Pink toes! How much Bass with the label did that raven child drink?" "'Tain't Bass," said Ortheris. "It's bitter a beer. Nor that. It's homesickness." "Hang to him, and he going home in the Sharpies in the inside of 4 months. I don't care. It's all one to me. And you know I ain't afraid of dying before I gets me discharge papers." He recommenced in a sing-song voice the orders. I had never seen this side of Ortheris's character before, but evidently Mulvaney had, and attached serious importance to it. While Ortheris babbled with his head on his arms, Mulvaney whispered to me, "He's always talked this way when he's been checked over much by the choiler that makes sergeants nowadays, then and having nothing to do, and I can't make out anyways. Well, what does it matter? Let him talk himself through." Ortheris began singing a parody of The Ramrod Corps, full of cheerful allusions to battle, murder, and sudden death. He looked out across the river as he sang, and his face was quite strange to me. Mulvaney caught me by the elbow to ensnare attention. "Matter? It matters everything to some sort of fit that's on him. I've seen it. 'Twill hold him all this night. In the middle of it he'll get out of his cot and go raking in the rack for his accoutrements. Then he'll come over to me and say, 'I'm going to Bombay. Answer for me in the morning.' Then me and him will fight, as we've done before. Him to go and me to hold him. And so we'll both come on the books for the stowing in barracks. I've belted him and I've broke his head and I've talked to him, but it's no manner of use when the fit's on him. He's as good a boy as ever stepped when his mind's clear. I know what's coming, though, this night in the barracks. Lord send he doesn't loose on me when I rise to knock him down. 'Tis that's in my mind day and night." This put the case in a much less pleasant light, and fully accounted for Mulvaney's anxiety. He seemed to be trying to coax Ortheris out of the fit, for he shouted down the bank where the boy was lying, "Listen now, you with the poor pink toes and the glass eyes, did you swim the Irrawaddy at night behind me as a boy should, or were you hiding under the bed as you was at Ahmed Kale?" This was at once a gross insult and a direct lie, and Mulvaney meant it to bring on a fight. But Ortheris seemed shut up in some sort of trance. He answered slowly, without a sign of irritation, in the same cadenced voice as he had used for his firing party orders. "I swam the Irrawaddy in the night, as you know, for to take the town of Lungton Pen naked and without fear. And where I was at Ahmed Kale, you know, and 4 blooming pathans know too. But that was something to do, and didn't think of dying. Now I'm sick to go home. To go home. No, I ain't mammy sick, 'cause me uncle brung me up, but I'm sick for London again. Sick for the sounds of her, and the sights of her, and the stinks of her. Yeah, orange peel, asphalt, and gas coming in over Vauxhall Bridge. Sick for the rail going out of Box Hill, with your gal on your knee, and a new clay pipe in your face. That, and the Strand lights, where you knows every one, and the copper that takes you up is an old friend that took you up before, when you was little, snitchy boy lying loose between the temple and the dark arches. No blooming guard mountain, no blooming rotten stone, nor khaki, and yourself, your own master with a gal to take, and see the humaners practising and hooking dead corpses out of the Serpentine on Sundays. And I left all that for to serve the widder beyond the seas, where there ain't no women and there ain't no liquor worth having, and there ain't nothing to do or see, nor say, nor feel, nor think. Lord love you, Stanley Ortheris, but you're a bigger blooming fool than the rest of the regiment, and Mulvaney wired together. There's the widder sitting at home with a gold crown on her head, and here I am, Stanley Ortheris, the widder's property, a rotting fool." His voice rose at the end of the sentence, and he wound up with a 6-shot Anglo-vernacular oath. Mulvaney said nothing, but looked at me as if he expected that I could bring peace to poor Ortheris's troubled brain. I remembered once at Rawalpindi having seen a man, nearly mad with drink, sobered by being made a fool of. Some regiments may know what I mean. I hoped that we might slake off Ortheris in the same way, though he was perfectly sober. So I said, "What's the use of grousing there, and speaking against the widow?" "I didn't," said Ortheris. "S'help me God, I never said a word agin her, and I wouldn't, not if I was to desert this minute." Here was my opening. "Well, you meant to anyhow. I mean, what's the use of cracking on for nothing? Would you slip it now if you got the chance?" "Only try me," said Ortheris, jumping to his feet as if he'd been stung. Mulvaney jumped too. "What are you going to do?" said he. "Help Ortheris down to Bombay or Karachi, whichever he likes. You can report that he separated from you before tiffin, and left his gun on the bank here." "I'm to report that, am I?" said Mulvaney slowly. "Very well. If Ortheris means to desert now, and will desert now, and ye, sir, who have been a friend to me and him, will help him to it, I, Terence Mulvaney, on my oath, which I've never broke yet, will report as ye see. But here he stepped up to Ortheris and shook the stock of the fowling piece in his face. Your fists will help ye, Stanley Ortheris, if ever I come across ye again. I don't care, said Ortheris. I'm sick of this dog's life. Give me a chance. Don't play with me. Let me go. Strip, said I, and change with me. Then I'll tell you what to do. I hoped that the absurdity of this would check Ortheris, but he had kicked off his ammunition boots and got rid of his tunic almost before I had loosed my shirt collar. Mulvaney gripped me by the arm. The fit's on him. The fit's working on him still. By my honour and soul, we shall be accessory to a desertion yet. Only 28 days, as you say, sir, or 56. But think of the shame, the black shame to him and me. I never had seen Mulvaney so excited. But Ortheris was quite calm, and as soon as he had exchanged clothes with me, and I stood up a private of the line, he said shortly, Now, come on, what's next? Do you mean fair? What must I do to get out of this here hell? I told him that if he would wait for 2 or 3 hours near the river, I would ride into the station and come back with 100 rupees. He would, with that money in his pocket, walk to the nearest side station on the line, about 5 miles away, and would there take a first-class ticket for Karachi. Knowing that he had no money on him when he went out shooting, his regiment would not immediately wire to the seaports, but would hunt for him in the native villages near the river. Further, no one would think of seeking a deserter in a first-class carriage. At Karachi, he was to buy white clothes and ship, if he could, on a cargo steamer. Here he broke in. If I helped him to Karachi, he would arrange all the rest. Then I ordered him to wait where he was until it was dark enough for me to ride into the station without my dress being noticed. Now, God, in his wisdom, has made the heart of the British soldier, who is very often an unlicked ruffian, as soft as the heart of a little child, in order that he may believe in and follow his officers into tight and nasty places. He does not so readily come to believe in a civilian, but when he does, he believes implicitly and like a dog. I had the honour of the friendship of Private Ortheris at intervals for more than 3 years, and we had dealt with each other as man by man. Consequently, he considered that all my words were true and not spoken lightly. Mulvaney and I left him in the high grass near the river bank, and went away, still keeping to the high grass, toward my horse. The shirt scratched me horribly. We waited nearly 2 hours for the dust to fall and allow me to ride off. We spoke of Ortheris in whispers and strained our ears to catch any sound from the spot where we had left him, but we heard nothing except the wind in the plume grass. I've broke his head, said Mulvaney earnestly, time and again. I've nearly killed him with the belt. Yet I can't knock them fits out of his soft head. No, and he's not soft, for he's reasonable and likely by nature. What is it? Is it his breeding, which is nothing, or his education, which he never got? Ye that think ye know things, answer me that. But I found no answer. I was wondering how long Ortheris in the bank of the river would hold out, and whether I should be forced to help him to desert, as I had given my word. Just as the dusk shut down, and with a very heavy heart, I was beginning to saddle up my horse, we heard wild shouts from the river. The devils had departed from Private Stanley Ortheris. No, the 22639B Company. The loneliness, the dusk, and the waiting had driven them out, as I had hoped. We set off at the double, and found him plunging about wildly through the grass, with his coat off, my coat off, I mean. He was calling for us, like a madman. When we reached him, he was dripping with perspiration and trembling, like a startled horse. We had great difficulty in soothing him. He complained that he was in civilian kit and wanted to tear my clothes off his body. I ordered him to strip, and we made a second exchange as quickly as possible. The rasp of his own greyback shirt and the squeak of his boots seemed to bring him to himself. He put his hands before his eyes and said, "What was it? I ain't mad, I ain't sunstruck, and I've been and gone and said, and been and gone and done, and what have I been and done?" "What have you done?" said Mulvaney. "You've disgraced yourself, though that's no matter. You've disgraced B Company, and, worst of all, you've disgraced me that taught ye for how to walk abroad like a man, when you was a dirty little fish-backed little whimpering little recruitie, as ye are now, Stanley Ortheris." Ortheris said nothing for a while. Then he unslung his belt, heavy with the badges of half a dozen regiments that his own had lain with, and handed it over to Mulvaney. "I'm too little for to mill you, Mulvaney. And you've struck me before, but you can take and cut me in two with this here if you like." Mulvaney turned to me. "Leave me to talk to him, sir," said Mulvaney. I left, and on my way home thought a good deal over Ortheris in particular, and my friend Private Thomas Atkins, whom I love in general, but I could not come to any conclusion of any kind whatever.